Hello fellow tankers, it's Mobius Y here once again with another edition of Tank Talk, and as promised many months ago, we are taking a second look at the German Tier 10 medium tank, the Leopard 1. A wonderful tank to have in anybody's garage, a really fun tank to play, just an all-around excellent performing machine. Now, I've got a lot of gameplay lined up for you. I have 7 games to show you how you can use this tank effectively, how you can play it to its strengths, have good games, and all that good stuff. However, before we get into that, I would like to note that this tank is not for everyone. Having pseudo paper-thin armor means that to a lot of the randoms that you come across in games, you are simply not intimidating to them. If you do not have Yagaru class or E100 class armor, you are just not an intimidating presence to most of the randoms you'll find in this game. So essentially because of that, people will see you and they will simply think, oh, it's a Leopard 1, I could take this guy. You will get rushed a lot, you will get YOLO'd a lot, you will get picked on a lot, you will get gangbanged a lot, you will get shot at by artillery a lot when you're spotted, and it can lead to just a horrible, horrible time. There's always a number of factors that contribute to having a bad game with this tank. Either you're just playing too aggressive, you just don't have enough backup, poor situational awareness, poor target prioritization, you just wind up putting yourself in a poor position, so on and so forth. There's just a lot of factors that always contribute to having a bad game with this tank. It's never just one little thing. So, before we jump into the gameplay, I want to show you something really important. And I think it's just as important to showing you how to play this tank well. We're going to spend about a minute and a half here showing you what happens when you play this tank and have a bad game in it. So, without any further ado, let's just start the reel.
Here we go. Let's try it.
Okay, that's enough of that. So that gives you a general idea, very brief idea of what it looks like when you have a bad time with this tank and just play it not to its strengths. So it looks pretty awful. And like I said, it's always a number of factors. I was too aggressive, poorly positioned, so on and so forth. So let's just take a look at the package here. Take a look at the hard stats of the Leopard 1 before we jump into the gameplay. So, looking at the package here right off the bat, looking at the hard stats. So, this tank has 830 horsepower, giving it a good power to weight ratio, sorry. It's just under 20 horsepower per ton, if I remember correctly. Now, the biggest deciding factor on the Leopard 1 that makes it such an appealing tank is this gun. Its rate of fire is 6.67 rounds per minute, and its penetration values are really good. It has 268 base pen with its standard APCR. Its heat rounds have 330 pen, and the base alpha damage, the average alpha damage is 390 with both types of rounds. 268 is one of the best penetration values out of all the Tier 10 mediums. And the other two aspects of this are the gun handling. The aiming time is 1.89, one of the best of the Tier 10 mediums, and the accuracy 0.3. Best accuracy rating in the entire game. So as you can see, really, really positive qualities about the Leopard 1's gun. So Couple skills that you'll definitely want for the Leopard 1. Sixth sense for sure. You need to know when you're spotted in this tank. You'll want repairs because the tracks on the Leopard 1 take longer than most other tanks to repair. On average, it's about 10 to 11 seconds without any equipment or the repair skill. You definitely want camouflage to make use of the Leopard 1's really good camouflage ability in this tank. And you'll also eventually want to get clutch braking to help with the hull traverse of the Leopard 1. It's only 54 degrees per second. With clutch braking, I believe that adds 10%, so it should be about 5960. And eventually you'll want brothers in arms to help boost the effectiveness of everything, your camouflage, your rate of fire with the gun, so on and so forth. Some other skills you might want to consider as well to eventually put on this tank. You might want to consider things like safe stowage to help with the ammo rack problems that this tank has. The ammo rack is in the front underneath the lower plate there, so it does get shot a lot, and you can get ammo racked quite easily with this tank. So I definitely recommend taking safe stowage. Armor is not a bad choice. You want to make sure that your nice accurate gun is in play and staying as accurate as possible if the gun takes some damage. So armor is not a bad choice at all, especially if you play this tank more as a sniper. Couple other skills, possibly Deadeye, increase the chance to cause critical damage to enemy vehicle modules and crew. Works with APCR rounds, so that's not a bad choice to have maybe. You might want to consider, say, situational awareness and recon to help with the view range of the Leopard 1 as well, which is 410 meters base. So some supplies. Large repair kit, large first aid kit, automatic fire extinguisher. You could trade out the automatic fire extinguisher for, say, octane or even food, seeing as how the Leopard 1 has a lower chance of fire than most other Tier 10 mediums. But the large repair kit I definitely recommend to help with the speed of repairing the tracks. Now for equipment, right now I have a wet ammo rack, a medium caliber tank gun rammer, and coated optics. The wet ammo rack I will change out once I train safe stowage on the crew. I definitely recommend changing wet ammo rack to a vertical stabilizer, or if you're just more defense oriented like myself, keep the wet ammo rack if ammo racking really annoys the crap out of you. That's totally up to you, but definitely the gun rammer and the coated optics, those will really help. Typical medium setup there, guys, nothing special to it. Making use of the camo rating and the rate of fire on this tank. So let's just take a quick look at where the modules are on this tank. So from the front, your driver is on the right side of the tank, looking out those viewports. He can get knocked out quite a lot, especially if you're facing your enemy. And as I said, the ammo rack is in that lower plate area. It can get knocked out very easily, especially from people who don't realize that they can shoot you anywhere on the front of this tank. They'll just shoot your lower plate to ammo rack you, or it could be somebody who knows what they're doing. And as you can see, the gun mantlet itself is still a weak point. The top of the gun mantlet can create some bounces, since it's fairly sloped and quite thick for some. It adds about 70 millimeters of spaced armor to the front of the turret, so it can cause some bounces. But definitely do not count on it. You do not want to get shot in this tank whatsoever. Now, a side view of the Leopard 1, you can see why you don't want to get shot in this tank, especially in the turret. You can see on the front of the turret, even if it doesn't hit your gun, it can still damage your gun. And the entire left side of the turret near the middle there, that's where your loader sits. If he gets knocked out, you're really screwed with this vehicle. So you got your gas tank on the left side, just outside the engine, right above the tracks there as well. It's very vulnerable. The side armor on this tank is utter trash, simply put. And the red marks behind the tracks there, that's where the engine block is. That can get knocked out fairly easily if your enemies get some easy side shots into the rear of your tank there, if you just back out and expose your side. So the back of the tank, you can see the entire rear is a vulnerable area. The engine is it's a huge engine block that's sitting between the tracks there to help power the vehicle. The radio sits in the very back of the turret. That's not a huge issue. And the entire back of this tank is vulnerable. You can see on the right side there, the little orange mark, that's kind of where I believe the commander sits, right underneath the commander's hatch. So he could get knocked out in a rear shot on the turret there, if it doesn't auto bounce. He's pretty vulnerable from shots to the side of your turret, as usual. So, like I said, you basically just don't want to expose your rear too badly because your engine could get damaged. There goes one of your major strengths, your mobility, or it could just catch fire, which is just as bad. So Looking more on the right side from the top here, you can see the top of the turret's quite vulnerable. If artillery hits there, you're going to have a bad day. And artillery likes shooting this tank, so if you get hit the top of the turret, chances are you're losing a couple crew members, as well as your gun's going to get damaged, your radio's going to get damaged, you could get ammo racked, who knows. So you can see on the right side there near the rear, that's where the commander sits, right underneath the commander's hatch. Just in front of him is the gunner. You have another fuel tank on the right side above the tracks in front of the engine block there. And you can see on the right side of the turret, again, if you get shot in that area, not even in the gun mantlet or the gun itself, hitting that part of the front of the turret on the Leopard 1 will damage the gun itself still. So, full side-on view to the right of the Leopard 1. Again, fuel tanks on the right there. You can see the commander and the gunner right in the middle of the turret. Hitting the front of the turret damages the gun, as I said earlier. And if you're lucky enough, that thin blue strip where the driver sits, you could get a side shot into, say, the front drive wheel there, or even into the side of the tank, right by that little mirror there, and your driver can essentially get knocked out. It's very possible for it, and that's why I strongly recommend a large first aid kit to help reduce the chances of crew members getting injured in this tank, because losing even one crew member could really cripple the capabilities of this tank. And, of course, the fuel tanks are in the rear there, as mentioned earlier. So, looking again from the front, a little bit above on the right-hand side, you can see all the front of that turret, vulnerable area. The top of the mantlet, as I said, it can create some bounces, but just don't count on it for the life of you. Sometimes you'll get a really cheesy one because somebody will decide to aim for those really thin commander hatches on the top of the turret. I have no idea why people do that. I'm just going to chalk it up to they have no idea what they're shooting at. But most of the people will just know to shoot you pretty much anywhere, especially in the hull there. Knock out your driver, ammo rack you on the lower plate, who knows, maybe even hit the side of your turret and damage your gun there, right next to the mantlet, what have you. So that's essentially a look at the modules and crew members, where they sit on the Leopard 1. They're all very vulnerable because this tank has very, very thin armor. So with that being said, this tank, you got to use it to its strengths. Utilize your mobility, utilize your great accurate gun with really good pen and really good gun handling, and use your good camo and view range to its best abilities. A couple of the hard stats I didn't quite get there. The track traverse speed, as I said, is 54 degrees per second. The turret traverse speed, however, is only 32 degrees per second, so it will not keep up with the turning of your tracks. And the base view range of this tank is 410 meters. You can jump that up to 451 meters, overextending beyond the 445 meter hard cap on the maximum spotting range in the game. Excuse me there. So jumping into the first of 7 games coming up here, we're going to start with an assault game on Karelia, and I'm solo and I am defending. And I'm going to do something really dumb at the start here. This is me showcasing what can happen when you play the Leopard 1 a little bit too aggressively. Just a little bit too aggressively. I've tried this move before where I just go straight down into the middle area there and I sit right underneath that cliff and just spot guys on both sides of the approaches coming up. With enough backup, you can put a tank there, not just a Leopard 1, but a medium with, or even a light with good camo rating. Just got to protect yourself from the guys on top of the cliff because they will spot you without batting an eyelash there. But this starts off going horribly wrong, and you'll see exactly what I mean. I figured I was pretty safe here, fairly protected, and then I'm spotted right off the bat, and things will just go south from here. There's an IF-7 far to my right. I'm trying to get out of the way, since I figured he's aiming at me, but there's an E5 up top and he smokes me right in the animal rack. So right away I've already used my repair kit. I'm getting shot in the butt from the other side by an Object 140. I'm getting shot from the other side and it's just going bad. It's just going bad right away. I'm down to 17 hit points and it's barely a minute into the game. I'm spotted again, so I am just diving for cover. I don't need that Object 140 smoking me with his really accurate gun. Amazingly, I hit him with my snapshot there, so I just parked. I waited for me to be unspotted again. I figured I was in a better position here. That E5 is going to have a tougher time spotting me when I'm in this position. But I am able to light up a couple targets on the northeast side of the map there. So I'm just utilizing this really good gun accuracy, trying to snipe at this E100 there. I put one shot into his tracks for no damage, unfortunately. So I just fire one more blind shot. Figured I had to have hit him. Whether it penetrated or not, I don't know. And then I see a side-on E4. I could just clip the back of his tank, so one more blind shot. Not sure if I hit him. Again, it doesn't look like I did. I couldn't tell. Definitely doesn't look like I did after he gets respotted. So I also see a 268. He's side-on to me. Going to put a long-range shot into his side for 418 damage. And with that, I am spotted again. The E5 is up above me, poking over, trying to take shots at the guys back at my base. So I had to stay hidden, stay behind this rock, make sure nobody had a shot on me, because I'm an easy kill for somebody who's just bloodthirsty. Looking around, I see a conquer on the other side of the map there. I'm just trying to be very wary of where the enemies are, trying to maintain my HP pool, my whopping 17 hit points. Take another snipe shot at the E4 there, waiting for the reload so I can take another nice long-range side shot at this Object 268 for 455 damage and tracking him. So you can see here I'm utilizing the really good gun accuracy and the good camo rating on this tank. Another blind shot at the Object 268. I'm able to make these shots without getting spotted. Now, chances are I'm probably not spotting them, but my teammates are for me, and that's good enough. So I'm going to put one more shot in this E4, knock him down to one shot, so that anybody can take him out. And yet again, I'm spotted probably by this TD that's down here that I'm looking for. That just disappeared. Another T110 E4. I see his back's to me, so I put a shot into his butt for 372. And that's when I see the heavy tank. And I didn't realize until too late that he actually just said, "Screw you, I want you dead." And one of the waffles giving me cover finally takes him out. So you can see, playing the Leopard, I was super aggressive. It could have easily just gone south in seconds, but I was actually able to pull my butt out of the fire and have a decent game there with 1,442 total XP earned. And I managed to rack up a good 2,600 spotting damage. Every point of damage that E5 had for HP, I did in spotting damage. So as you can see, 2,697 spotting damage, and I still was able to rack up 2,698 regular damage, putting that really accurate, nice high penetration gun to very good use, and getting some easy side shots in the guys that were pushing in the northeast there towards our friendlies. Now the rest of my team was able to pull off a win there, so that was a pretty good fight. I didn't last very long, and that is prone to happen when you're aggressive in the Leopard 1. But like I said, I was able to just maintain my focus and just start using my head and play the tank to its strengths the best I could with the situation that I put myself in, and I was able to still put out my damage and have a good game. So moving on to the second of 7 games here. Once again, I'm solo in this one, and this is an encounter battle on Siegfried line. Now on this one, I'm playing much more passively. I'm not going to go balls to the wall aggro this time, and it pays off in dividends for me this time around. You can have pretty dang good games in the Leopard 1 if you're aggressive. But if you have no backup, especially if you have no platoon watching your back, it can just go in the toilet really quickly. But if you play nice and passive, and just play second or even third line support with the Leopard 1, putting that view range, the camo rating, the mobility, and the gun to good use, you'll see me doing all of that in this game. You can have a really good game. This is actually one of my better tier 10 mediums for soloing with, as opposed to platooning with. When I platoon, I tend to be more aggressive, seeing as how I figure I've got people watching my back, so I just go right in. Snipe shot on the T-54 E1 for 390 something. Really, really early shot for damage, not even 40 seconds into the game. 48 patent side on there, so I had to put another sniping shot into him. And I figure I'm in a good spot here. I got the trees protecting me, keeping me unspotted, but that doesn't happen. I get spotted, and somebody starts looking at me, so somebody starts popping me. And luckily for me, the 48 patents shot just barely misses and only tracks me. So aiming in on the T-54 again, put another shot in him. I want to try and take him out as quickly as possible. That auto loader is pretty dangerous. So behind some trees again, I figure I'm fairly safe here. Start taking some more shots. Unlucky bounce to the T-54 E1 though. So somebody's doing a really good job of lighting up these targets in the field here. So I'm just taking my opportunistic pot shots here. I hit the patent for 350. He's unfortunately in a bad spot for the way that our team spread out here. Somebody's spotting him in the field, and there's at least 2 of us sniping him. I got a massive high roll for 459 damage and take him out of the game once and for all. First casualty on the red team there. So, looking around in town, I get spotted from what looks like M103 right there in the middle. So I decide now's the time to pull back and look for an opening where I can be a major nuisance to the red team here. So, kicking it into high gear, using the Leopard 1's really good mobility, just kind of surveying the battlefield here. Not too sure what I should do. I'm figuring I should head down the 0 line and see if I can flank around that way. I don't think I'm needed in the town there. It looks like most of our heavies have things more or less under control. They're doing their jobs. Unfortunately, we lose, I believe, the Leopard prototype medium tank up in the middle there. So, like I said, this game, utilizing the accuracy, the mobility, and the camo rating of this tank to the best of its abilities, staying largely unspotted, taking some sniping shots at the mediums that were in the field there. And once I saw that that side was pretty much cleaned up, I knew it was time to move and make myself useful somewhere else on the map. So I see a lone object 704, and I figure I should put a side shot into him. Bad shot though, and it ends up bouncing off. So the E4 gets spotted as soon as he comes over the hill, so I know I need to back off. I don't need to lose half my HP right away here. Bad shot on him, hits him right in the gun mantlet, and I don't even do any damage. So, looking across, seeing if anybody's down the main street on Siegfried line, see if I can get any side shots. Doesn't look like that's happening. Everybody's playing pretty safe, and they're staying on their side of the city so far. So, I figure it's time for me to move. I'm kind of ineffective and useless here. So I'm pinging the map showing the tank that's in the very top left corner there. Looks like he just took out our artillery. And I believe it's their AMX 1390 light tank, so I decide I need to turn around and get vengeance for our green artillery. I can't believe I just said that. Come on, who likes artillery? Really? I'm just kidding. Sorry, RD players, we all love you. So our bat chat spots the object 430. Looks like the 1390 wasn't alone, so I sniped the object 430. Dropped him down to one shot, did 401 damage to him, that was a good shot. And he stays exposed, so I'm going to put one more shot into him for 386. Tracking him as well, making him an easy kill for the bat chat to swoop in and finish him off. And the AMX 1390 also gets spotted, and he starts putting shells into the bat chat, but the bat chat retaliates in kind and takes him out of the game. Good job on the bat chat's part there. He was able to handle that situation quite nicely, and that gets rid of two dangerous flankers. So now the other team gets two of their TDs into the flag, but it's in counter, so we've got lots of time. So I figure this E100 needs some help. I start sniping this T95 once he goes fully side onto me, and once I figure I could actually start doing damage to him. So now his butt's to me, I'm trying to snipe him. That shot goes high, unfortunately, and I miss it. So I see the 54 E1, I ping somebody else to start shooting him since I don't really have a good shot. Waiting for the 95 to just put his butt to me so I have a better shot. Unfortunately, that one also goes high and I miss. But then he just turns just enough so I can put a nice shot in his rear end for 140 damage and taking him out of the game. So I figure the E100 should be able to handle that with the bat chat, the TD that's up there, and the VK45 that we have up there. I didn't even have the time to reload. So we know where two of their tanks are. Their two TDs are right by the flag. The only one unaccounted for is the medium tank. Not too sure where he is. And artillery is obviously somewhere back in their spawn. So with their three remaining combat tanks near or on the flag, I know I need to hustle over there and provide assistance where I can. I'm expecting to see the medium tank pop up at any point. That's why I stopped at the top of the hill there. So I figure I want to stay stealthy just in case that medium is in the rear street on the 0 line there. I tell my team I'm on my way, so I position myself while I'm moving. Not only do I have it so that I am not going uphill, so I maintain my speed, I'm staying just on the other side of this crest so that if that medium tank is directly behind those TDs supporting from the rear, he won't spot me until I come around this corner here. Peeking over, I see that he's not there, and it looks like I have the rear end of those TDs, so I decide, okay, I need to go in there and lay down some fire and help out as quickly as I can. Bat chat looks like he took out the medium. I got a rear shot on the 704, hit him for a 344 in the butt. He's down to a one shot. I'm trying to line up for another shot here, but all the friendlies pulling in front of me, make him back up in front of my gun again. Hit him for 80. He's gone. E4 takes out a friendly heavy, so I try to put a shot into his tracks. Unfortunately, it goes wide, hits him in the hull, and bounces off of him. So I'm just trying to close the distance. I know he's still reloading. I'm just going to try and get behind him, put one more shot into him. drop him down to one shot or take him out. Somebody else gets the shot into me before I do. I wanted to make sure that I was going to pen, so I held my fire until the last moment, taking him out for 202 damage. Not a bad game there. Got some good sniping shots in, utilizing the Leopard 1's really good mobility, utilizing that really accurate gun, and utilizing the camo rating at the start there to the best of my abilities, racking up a whopping 3,848 damage, 4 tanks knocked out, and 471 assisted damage total. So, a much better game overall over the last one. They were both still good games. This one, I simply performed much better because I played a lot more passive, didn't unnecessarily rush out there without backup or any such thing. So, moving on to the next game. This one's on Westfield, and I am in a platoon in this game, and I believe Centurion Gaming, a fellow YouTuber, is in my platoon for this game as well. He too will be sporting a Leopard 1, and this will be the first of 2 games where we work together with Leopard 1s. There will be another game later on where I will also be platooned with Centurion Gaming using a Leopard 1 as well. So I've also got Player TD in an E100, a Casual Pi in an E3, and Mio in a Waffenträger off Panzer IV. So, all 5 of us pretty much going to the center ridgeline on Westfield here. Me and Centurion are going to go there right off the bat to try and get some cheeky pot shots as well as some initial spots here on the enemy team. But a 1375 kind of ruins our fun. Peeks over, gets shot to crap, and he's running away now. Also spotting an Object 430 and an enemy Leopard 1. Now something I didn't mention is the Leopard 1 can play ridge combat fairly well, as towards the front it gets 9 degrees of gun depression, one of the better ratings of gun depression out of the tier 10 mediums. However, just to the nature of the way the hull is designed with the large engine block on the rear end, when you're pointing the gun backwards, you only have, I believe, about 5 degrees of gun depression because the engine block is higher than the front plate of the hull. So peeking over, I see this E50M is trying to run away. I quickly rushed a shot, seeing as I saw somebody was looking at me. I figured it was that E4. I didn't want him taking half my health this early in the game, so I rushed a shot in that E50 and only managed to track him there, unfortunately. So this E5 is out for blood. He sees us 2 Leopard 1s. I rush a shot on him. Unfortunately, it popped out a little bit late and ate dirt there. Bad shot on my part. So me and Centurion just working the ridge lines. The rest of our platoon is in the town there, so it's our job to get some spots for our friendly artillery if possible, and try and dish out as much damage as possible there. Centurion takes a bad shot in the back from this E5, so I turn around to face him. Centurion and the heavy behind me are dealing with the tanks behind us, but that E5 is just getting some really cheeky shots into those 2. So I'm trying to do my best to put some damage on him so that he doesn't damage my teammates completely unanswered. Nice shot into his hatch for 406. Enemy Leopard 1. Looks like he missed me. Might have hit the friendly heavy behind me. And unfortunately I bounced another shot off the machine gun of the E5. The friendly heavy gets rushed by this enemy E5 and gets taken out of the game, unfortunately. So that leaves just me and Centurion holding this ridge. So I say to Centurion, we need to get out of here. Unfortunately, a little miscommunication in our movements results in me just ramming right into him. So we start backing the heck off. We can't deal with all these tanks by ourselves, especially a Waffle Dragon right over there. So I just tell Centurion, we need to get the heck out of Dodge. So we pull back, find some cover behind the next ridge here, and try to regroup with our platoon as best as we can, especially Player TD and Casual Pi, seeing as how they are essentially the armor in our platoon right now. So I don't want to back completely off and let these guys move around completely unspotted, so I peek over, rush a shot into the side of the E5 there. Only hit his track, unfortunately, but it doesn't look like they're making a huge push. We know where the Waffle and the Object 140 are located. So I back off from there. E5 doesn't need to be dealt with just yet. Casual Pi and Player TD start rolling up on those 2 guys, so I'm going to regroup with Centurion Gaming. This E5 looks like he's alone now that the Waffle Dragon is solo. So I tell Centurion, okay, let's rush him. You go left, I'll go right, and we'll do the good old medium double team. Peeking out, I see the 140 trying to get into position, but I take him out of the game. I don't need him backing up that enemy E5. Artillery hits the T-110 E5. Centurion rushes him with his attention on Centurion Gaming. I come in the back and put a shot into his engine deck, and our friendly artillery smokes the T-110 E5 one more time to take him out of the game. So they're down to 3 tanks. They've only got a Leopard 1, an E-50M, and a scale cannon artillery. So this game is pretty much over. We're all just going to close in and finish it off. So that game, I played the Leopard 1, again, quite aggressively, but I made sure that I had some backup this time. Both me and Centurion were able to work the ridge and keep the enemies at bay, especially with the help of that friendly heavy that unfortunately got YOLO'd and taken out. And by pulling back and regrouping with our armored tanks, Player TD in the E100, sorry, and Casual Pi in the T110 E3, we were able to close out the game with their support. Spotting the E50M, he gets blasted, and then I go in for the kill on this Leopard 1, and he gets ammo racked by the AMX-50B. Poor guy. So a pretty good game there. Not a huge amount of damage that time, but some good teamwork, especially with me and Centurion Gaming, utilizing the Leopard 1 as best as we could there, using our gun depression and our mobility to work that ridge line and just hold off crazy enemy advance. Player TD and Casual Pi both racking up over 4,000 damage. Really good games on their part. Myself, 1,262 assisted damage and 1,900 damage dealt. So not a bad game overall. 40,000 silver gained for a tier 10 game. That's not bad one bit. Now, moving on to yet another game. This one on Himmelsdorf. City maps largely considered tougher maps to play for something like a Leopard 1, or most mediums for that matter, that aren't heavily armored. But frankly, I think the city maps are some of the best maps that you could use for a medium tank, simply because you can work a corner for a little bit, take 2-3 quick pot shots, back off around the corner, get unspotted, and then remaneuver down to a different street, surprising the crap out of somebody who thinks you're still right in front of them, and then all of a sudden you're behind them putting shots in their butt, and they have problems turning around and answering your anal shots because it's so tight in these streets to turn around. So again, into Platoon with Player TD, Joe the Frogman. Joe the Frogman's in a bat chat here. Aguda in a T62A, Daffy Duck in a Get Wet 100. So largely a medium platoon. Aguda's going right up into the middle. Me, Player TD, and Joe the Frogman going up to Ganondorf's castle here. Player TD also in a Leopard 1 for this game as well. So we're just going to cruise right up to the top here. And I'm pinging the base because we still have about 4 tanks sitting there, sorry. 4 heavy tanks sitting back in our base still, out of 5. But kind of unfair of me to start pinging them, seeing as how one of them hasn't even loaded in yet. But still kind of scary in a situation like this when 4 out of 5 of our heavy tanks don't even move off the base for the first minute of the game. So, up in Ganondorf's castle, nothing going on here. Nobody's been spotted at the top of the hill yet. So we figure, okay, well, let's push up and start punishing some of their slower tanks. We don't want them getting to the stronger position at the top of this ridge here. So, peeking out, still don't see any enemies. So I'm going to peek down the street here, and right at that moment, I see the M103. We both trade a shot. I hit him for 417 or so, and he hits me for about 300 as well. So I put one shot into his drive wheel to track him, damaging him as well for 367. So now me and the other medium behind me, we're just working this M103. Poor guy getting double teamed. Friendly Russian tank behind me keeps shooting him as well, so he's just getting DPM'd. Bad shot into his lower plate, and the 46 Patton takes him out for the kill with a nice 360 damage shot. That M103 did put 2 shots in me, so unfortunately I did not play very smart defensively there. And this other Object 140 on my left here spots these 2 TDs at the bottom, an ISU 152 and a T28. So I'm not sure if the ISU 152 has the BL10. It looks like he did because he smacked the Object 140 for 800 hit points. And the T28 could very well have the 120 or the 155 as well. So they could both cause major worlds of hurt on my day here. So missed the shot and bounced on the ISU. Shot on the move goes high, misses both of them. And I'm just blowing past them, making them miss both their shots on me. coming up behind the ISU to put a shot into his side and finish him off. And the T-28 tries to turn in answer to my quick little rushing flank, but I'm not letting him get the better of me. Trying to get right behind him. I wind up driving into the building though, so T-28 is trying to back in and squeeze me out, but I'm not letting that happen. Player TD puts a nice shot into his track, not allowing him to move, and I'm able to finish him off with a nice side shot for about 360 damage. So the battle has progressed quite well for our team. We've knocked out about a third of their team, 3 of them being on the hill, and 2 of them down and around in the middle there where Gouda was working that part of the map there. So we see this E100, he's all alone. I'm just going to come up behind him, put a shot into his backside. 386 damage. He's got 36 hit points left. Player is able to take him out. Pretty lucky low roll for that E100 there. I could have very well finished him off. And now it's just closing in for the final kills. Coming around the corner, enemy Leopard prototype puts a shot into me, and I respond in kind, damaging his turret. So I know I've got more hit points and more DPM than he does probably as well, so I'm just going to rush him, trade shots with him. It's late in the game. I'm not too concerned about my hit points at this stage. So he puts one more into me, but I'm able to finish him off with 13 hit points left over. With that being done, I am down to 404 hit points. Most anything that's left on the field could one-shot me, except for perhaps the scout tank, so I need to start playing more defensively, and I tell myself time to start using my head and not taking unnecessary pot shots that will get me killed. I want to stay alive just in case. There is still a 1375 and a Waffentrager off E100 still alive, so we'll need to work on these guys. Nice shot into the 1375 for a whopping 33 damage with an HE shell, only managing to track him. I was hoping to find the Waffentrager off E100. Unfortunately, I came around and there was the AMX 1375, and I put a shot right into his gun mantlet, essentially, hence the very low HE damage. So he misses his first shot. I put one into his engine deck and set him on fire, and then he puts one to me in response. But however, he is down to one shot with a damaged engine, so I just put one more shot into him, low roll for 364, and he gets taken out by Daffy Duck with 13 hit points left over. Or, sorry, the 46 Patton took him out, and Daffy drops a nuke shell on somebody else, probably somewhere on the opposite side of the map. So, pulling forward, this Waffle gets really dumb, and I put a nice HE shell into his turret for 354 damage, taking him out of the game. Didn't go so well for him, getting triple teamed by 3 mediums as well as that heavy tank on my left there, I believe, an IS-8. So that didn't go too well for the Waffle, and now there's only artillery left. Absolute steamrolling of a game, winning this one 15-3. They essentially sent nobody up to the hill, which really cost them the game. Having zero control over Ganondorf's castle, allowing a large contingent of mediums and an IS-8, a mobile heavy, to just come in their backside and put a lot of shots in a lot of their team's buttholes. So getting a sniper medal, kind of surprising, even though I missed a shot. 4,187 damage. Aguda also managing 4,109 damage. Player TD 2,951 damage. And myself, 4 tanks knocked out. Really good game for us. Daffy Duck's also managing 1205 damage with his Get Wet 100 on Himmelsdorf. So that's an example of how you can essentially use something like the Leopard 1 in a city map. You know, just staying undetected as best as you can, coming up on the sides or the rears of enemy tanks. But it did strongly help that the red team did not send anybody up to Ganondorf's castle that did not get absolutely creamed. So moving on to yet another game. I'm in a smaller platoon. I've got Joe the Frogman in a Batchat and Player TD in an STB-1. And it's just the 3 of us. This is a standard battle on airfield. So we are going to go to the very center of the action here on the north end of the map, right where the encounter flag sits, essentially, around that area. So I'm just going to start off by following Joe the Frogman towards the area of contention. So you can see the little compilation at the very beginning of this video showed off what happens when you play this tank poorly. Last couple of games showed off especially those solo games, showed off what can happen when you play this tank effectively and play it well. You really got to use your head with this tank because you have such paper armor. You probably saw noticing a couple clips there, I just got way too aggressive, and I simply just got YOLO'd and taken out really early in the game. And it was very, very frustrating, to say the least. So, let's put our attention back to the game here on airfield. Just trying to pull forward. Saw this scout tank. It's a 1390. He's not looking, so I'm just going to put one shot into him, trying to make him run the heck away. Player TD puts another shot into him as well, and it turns out we are getting shot by artillery. So I just wedged my butt into this corner here. I don't need that Leopard 1 sniping at me. I don't need artillery shooting at me. I'm trying to squeeze by so that Player TD can slip his STB-1 past me as well. Doesn't look like they sent anybody into the middle behind us, so I'm going to try and work this side with all the support that I have here. 4 friendly TDs and 2 friendly heavy tanks, with an E100 bearing down on us in the airfield part of airfield. Now, I know there's a Leopard 1 somewhere out there, but he's probably just staying unspotted because he's got a really good camo rating, camouflage skill on his crew, possibly a camo net. So I decide I'm just going to keep moving. I'm going to keep an eye on the map, see where I need most. Not much going on. Looks like most of their team is playing extremely defensively, or campy, whichever you want to call it. Just a Conquer and an E100 in the airfield area here, and Player TD moves forward to spot them and put some shots into them. Puts a good shot into the E100 right in front of us to start with. So I'm just kind of chilling, hoping that nobody comes around the corner to mess with my buddy Player TD. I'm keeping an eye on the map. I noticed that a friendly across the map was pinging help. And upon further observation, I decide that I am really no longer needed here. I need to turn around and get to the other side of the map ASAP. So I just reposition really quickly here to see if there's anything I can do before I take off to the other side of the map. His Conqueror is pretty much all alone. Doesn't look like he has any support either. So Joe notices this heavy pulling up. He spots him, gets a shot into him, and the friendly J-Tiger takes him out. So I just reposition here, see if I can flank forward, and finally the enemy Leopard 1 gets spotted. So me and Player TD, we reposition to get some shots on him. I just want to try and take this Leopard 1 out, very dangerous Leopard 1 out of the game before I move on to the other flank on the other side of the map there. There's a really bad push going on, and I see this Conqueror's alone. He's pulling forward. Joe the Frogman's still reloading, so I need to try and be an intimidating presence as best as I can on the Leopard 1. I heard the Conqueror fire, so I pull forward, put a shot into his weak side armor, and Joe finishes him off once he's done reloading. So, seeing what's going on here all around us, not much happening here, I decide, okay, now's the time. I need to go. They need help on the south end of the flank there. I've stalled way too long in pulling back to go help them out. So I tell Player TD, hey man, it'd work great if you were able to follow me. We need to help out these guys on the south end there. We've got a Waffle Dragon on the very south end. Joe says I can still support in the middle here. And pulling forward, the E50M spots me, so I just dive for cover into these buildings. I don't want to take an unnecessary snipe shot from the E50M's really accurate gun or from his friendly nuke launchers. So the friendly Waffle on the other side of the flank, on the other side of the map there, manages to take out somebody, probably the enemy medium tank, but there's still at least 2 heavies in front of him. So, kicking the mobility of the Leopard 1 into high gear, I careen myself all the way across the map so I can get some nice sniping shots on these enemy heavies. Artillery manages to take out the E75, so I'm looking at this E50M, see if I can get a shot on him. He backs up too far, and my really crappy shot hits him right in the front plate. Very strong front plate on the E50M, so trying to get another shot into his side there. Hits him in the side of the turret for 378. And I turn my attention back to the 215B that is taking out our friendly Waffle. Put a nice shot into the side of his turret. Looks like our friendly Waffle Dragon is reloading, so this 215B could very easily take him out. Thankfully, he's a one-shot, but I can't see very much of him, so I'm just trying to land the best shot I can. It's really difficult with the way that 215B is positioned. Unfortunately, we don't get there in time. The 215 takes out the Waffle Dragon on our team, And player TD then gets right in his face to take him out of the game for 24 hit points. So this game is still pretty even. There's still a one-shot E50M left. There's still a Leopard 1 on the other side of the map somewhere. A couple heavies there. At least that E100 that was spotted really early. He's still somewhere over there in the airfield section of the map. Artillery lands a shot on that E50M and takes him out of the game. So me and player TD decide now's the time to move up. We have a slight advantage being up being up 8 tanks to their 7. Essentially, having destroyed 7 of their tanks to our 6. So, sorry, we're up 9 to 8. Sorry, been talking too much, I suppose. Pulling forward to see an M46 Patton. Looks like he was camping all game. Strong tactics. I'm trying to find a shot on him. Doesn't look like I have one. So I just pull forward and reposition, and I can just barely see the side of his turret, so I figured, screw it. Take the shot, and the stars align, and I nail him right in the side of the turret for 394. So I just throw myself off a cliff, try and get to the enemy base faster here. Player TD and Joe the Frogman are having all the fun right now, and I definitely want to jump in the puddle with them and have some fun too. Artillery takes out the Leopard 1 on the other side of the map, so one less problem to deal with. That leaves the E100 somewhere in the airfield. He's spotted right now. The Yog Tiger, right in their base that I just spotted, that I just looked at, and player TD's dealing with right now. The Waffle Dragon, and their 2 artillery. So, with player TD working this Yog Tiger, I figure he needs my help. He's essentially a 2-shot for this Yog Tiger. Very dangerous TD, and the teammates, as expected, managed to deal with artillery there. So, Yog Tiger fires, I peek out, put a shot into his lower plate, damaging his engine. And Joe the Frogman is able to clip him out after the Yog Tiger fires, and is sitting on a reload. So, next threat on the battlefield is this this Waffle Dragon. He clips out player TD, who had very few hit points. Unfortunately for player TD, he wasn't able to survive this game. So I know the Waffle's fired at least 3 shots now. He just took out another teammate, but he's just getting hammered by at least 3 friendlies. Artillery shot him. Joe shot him. He's fired at least 4 shots. Could be reloading, so I just put 1 shot into his turret, drop him to a 1-shot. 1 more final blast into his turret for 152 damage. Takes him out of the game before he can even respond. So now we're just closing in, trying to find this E100, see where he's at, see how much health he has, and just finish him off to close off this game. Getting close to 10 minutes this game. Fairly long game. Good battle of attrition there. And our team only has 13 tanks knocked out, though, so it looks like somebody on the other team drowned themselves. Driving past this little alcove, I see the E100. Not sure what he was doing in that corner there, but I guess he figured he was being helpful to the team. Or that he wasn't going to die so quickly to Joe the Frogman's bat chat. Who knows? Really doesn't matter. That game closes out. Played it pretty aggressively at the start there, but once I realized I'm not doing too much, I'm not being very effective here, and the south flank was totally failing, I repositioned to the south flank and offered my assistance. 2,884 damage with 1 tank knocked out, but 7 enemies damaged, netting me a Confederate medal and 944 base XP. So not a bad game at all. I do love me my Confederate medals. Confederate medals and sniper medals, those are what I like to see. And patrol digits are pretty nice too, but those are pretty rare. So, decent game there on airfield. Not a heck of a lot of damage, but just by repositioning and putting some extra hurt on those tanks in the south end of the map there, essentially changed the tide of the battle there. If those 3 or 4 tanks over there were able to push through, they could have very easily flanked all of us on the other side of the map and put lots of shots into the sides and rears of all those TDs and heavies sitting up by the airfield there. So I was quite happy with myself that game. So moving on to yet another game, standard battle on Erlenberg. Now this is a map that I keep telling people they're playing it wrong, because most of the time you just see people go up to the nearest ridge on their side of the map there, and they just sit there for the whole game, essentially rendering them ineffective and borderline useless. So starting off, I decide, okay, I'm going to play really stupid. I'm going to charge right down the middle, see if I can get some initial spots through the buildings across the river here. I've got a full platoon with me. 2 of them are in artillery. I've got Centurion Gaming and Aguda also in tier 10 medium tanks with me as well. So right off the bat, I spot this IS-7. I decided not to tempt with fate and take a shot at him, very likely rendering me spotted for the enemy team. Centurion Gaming pushes forward, tries to hide himself behind the building. Looks like he's spotted. He took a shot there. We've got, Casual Pie in a bat chat heading to the south end of the map there, spotting out that IS-7 for our friendly artillery.
Target acquired.
Centurion also spots an E-100 way across the river.
Target released.
Sitting where I am, I don't really have good shots on anything right now, so I'm just trying to reposition as best as I can. And that's when the mouse gets spotted, and with his turret sort of facing me, I figured maybe I can hit his turret cheeks, even though they'll be really hard to hit. Bad shot on the mouse, bounces on the side of his turret there. So we also see a Lorraine 40-ton and an E-50M right by the river on the south end of the map. So I make note, Kate, gotta keep an eye on them. Might get some side shots on them later. And Centurion pulling forward, respots the mouse. I figure try another shot into his turret cheek once he angles his turret more in my direction. But then I say screw it, take a bad shot at him, and it bounces off the top of his turret. E-100, he is side on to me, but he is behind the building, so I figure another turret cheek shot on the mouse, and once again it bounces. So I decided this is just a waste of time, I'm going to give up on that. Pulling over, repositioning myself to try and get shots on this IS-7. He is behind the house there, and just knocked out one of our friendlies. So I take one last look at the mouse. I see he's a one-shot, and I just throw a Hail Mary shot between the buildings there. He's still alive, unfortunately. So I basically just wasted 4 shots there. Take another shot here at the mouse in just a second, and it hits the building. Nothing really fantastic happens there. Centurion Gaming gets knocked out by the enemy IS-7, and Player TD takes out somebody with his Conqueror gun carriage, Tier 10 artillery. So somebody winds up tracking the mouse, and I take one more blind fire at him. And at this point, I am pretty much kind of annoyed at myself for wasting so much time shooting at him. That was about 6 shots on the mouse. Very, very pointless shots. I wasted a lot of time there. I should have been helping out with this IS-7 on the south end of the map here. So just repositioning myself, trying to get that IS-7 spotted again, and any other tanks that could be supporting him. I see him just past the building, so I try to put a shot into his lower plate there. It winds up going a little bit high and bouncing off his front plate. Even with .3 accuracy, it's very likely that you can miss some shots. Thank you very much, RNG. One more shot in the IS-7, aiming for his lower plate and or drive wheel. Goes high again into his upper plate and just bounces right off. And he keeps pulling forward, exposing himself to me, so I finally put one through. Finally got some damage this game after playing like an idiot for the first, 4 minutes there, 3-4 minutes. And just shooting shots pointlessly at heavy tanks in their most armored aspects. So the IS-7 said he's had enough. He pulls behind the building there, and I no longer have any shots on him. So this game, not going too well for our team so far. We're down 2 tanks, and they're down 3 tanks, but it's pretty dead even so far. They've only lost a Lorraine 40-ton and an E-50M. They did lose a Yagaru, though. Unfortunately, our platoon lost Centurion Gaming really early in the game there. So the Yagaru on our team manages to take out the enemy mouse in the very middle of the map. So that's a very good time for our team to start moving through the middle of the map. And that's when I decide I can be a little bit more aggressive here. I see this FV-4202, and the IS-7 is getting reamed by friendly TD, and the Yagaru takes the IS-7 out right as I decide I need to go get this FV-4202. Friendly artillery knocking out the FV-4202. My shot eats dirt. So I figure, okay, let's try that again. Pulling forward to spot the 4202. Possibly get a shot onto him, but Mio says he's got it. Drops a shell right on his face, ending his game, sending him back to the garage. So far this game has gone on for 5 minutes, and I have essentially done next to nothing. And you know what? There's never really anything wrong with that when you wind up playing spotter, even if it's only for about a minute there. Keeping that IS-7 lit up for the friendly Yagaru, keeping the FV-4202 lit up for Mio to donk him with a nuke shell from above. And pulling forward, I spot this mouse, and I indicate him to my platoon mates in the artillery, saying, I need shots on this guy. I'm pulling back. I should still be able to spot him. Amazingly, this mouse doesn't blind fire me. But seeing Casual Pie pull up all by himself, I say, I can't leave a fellow platoon mate all alone. I decide I'm going in with him. So essentially, we tell Player TD and Mio that we're going to need some assistance on this mouse. We need to show him the error of his camping ways. So Casual Pie goes in for the Bat Chat circle, starts clipping out the mouse, and in doing so spots the enemy Object 268 artillery. So I'm pulling forward. I don't have a shot on artillery, so my unaimed shot goes high on the mouse. So I'm pulling forward, trying to stay away from his turret. Put a low shot into him, trying to get him into the tracks. It winds up hitting his side skirts for no damage. Still trying to stay ahead of the turret of the mouse. I stop and put a nice shot into his side for 342. He bumps me and does about 18 points worth of damage to me. And putting a nice shot inside the mouse for I don't know how much damage, but it takes him out of the game. Casual Pie, still reloading, pulled forward, spotted the two enemy artillery as well as another IS-7, and my rush shot, again, goes high into his upper plate, doing no damage. That's when Casual Pie jumps on his opportunity, trading a shot with the IS-7, and tracking him, and my on-the-move auto-lock shot makes the stars align, and takes the IS-7 out of the game. So I decided it's time to come around the other side of Ganondorf's castle. Player TD counter-batteried one of the artillery, and I see this E-100 is probably looking at me, so I just back right off. I don't want to take a shot from that E-100 just yet. I still want to try and maintain as much health as possible, seeing as how I expect this battle to end in a full-on gunfight for me and Casual Pie over here on their side of the map. I see the skill cannon trying to run. No siree, you're not getting away from us. 107 damage, and that is both their artillery taken out of the game. So we see the Waffle Dragon way in the back there. But the enemy 215B needs to go. He is side on to me, getting clipped out by Casual Pie's Bat Chat. So I put one more shot into his side, taking him out of the game for 70 damage. Now this is where the game really started to pick up for me. I actually was landing some damaging hits. Not bad at all. Also getting some assisted damage, spotting for our friendly artillery. So this leaves the enemy E-100 in the very middle, and an enemy T-110E5. Not sure where he is. Probably somewhere near the northwest corner. But I decided it's time to go for this E-100. Now's the time to pounce. So peeking over, I do have side shots on the E-100. However, it's right into his side skirt. I throw caution to the window and shoot him right into the tracks with the shot going a little bit low. Now he is fully side on to me and pulling forward, so I put one more shot into him. Not sure what happened there. It looks like I tracked him right as the friendly Yagaru took him out of the game. So I guess I got a penetrating shot with that one there. No complaints. And now we're just closing in, looking for this T-110E5. He's got to be on this side of the map. We have not spotted him yet. So Pie coming around the north side of the ridge, me coming right over. We spot the E5. My first shot damages his turret. So he just gives up and shoots into the sky for whatever reason. Pie puts one shot into his back. I put one at the very back of the turret, ammo racking him, and Casual Pie's second shot destroys his ammo rack for over 800 damage, taking that E5 out of the game very quickly. Not sure why the E5 gave up on that one. He could have put some damage in and gotten a bit better XP there, but he just said screw it and just let us have our friendly waves with him. So like I said, I wasn't doing very much in the very beginning there, but 4,001 assisted damage, and Casual Pie 4,016 assisted damage, spotting for our friendly artillery, friendly TDs, so on and so forth. Casual Pie still racking up 4,385 damage, myself 2,406 damage with 4 tanks knocked out. Not a bad game at all. Excuse me. So, this is the last game. I will show you one more game on a city map, and this one also has Centurion Gaming sporting a Leopard 1. We also have Mio and I believe an M46 Patton, and I believe there is also Casual Pie and Player TD joining us in our platoon on this one. So you'll see this city map getting used extensively. How do I word this? You'll see me playing this city map to the best of my abilities, as I described. Mostly getting in a head-to-head fight early on in the game, unfortunately. But with the closing of the game, we're able to just steamroll the other team our platoon will wind up earning a crucial contribution before the game is through. So we got player TD in the Object 268 Tier 10 Tank Destroyer, and Casual Pie in the Foch 155 Tier 10 French Tank Destroyer. Mio in the 46 Patton, Centurion Gaming in the Leopard 1, and we all head to the west side of the map near the 1 line. That's where I decide I'm going to go. Now, before this game really kicks on and some action starts happening here, I would like to point out Centurion Gaming has also uploaded this game on his YouTube channel. Please go and check out his channel and take a look at this game from his perspective as well. Very good game on his end. Both of us racking up over 3,000 damage in Leopard 1s. And if you like what you see, which I'm pretty sure you will, please subscribe to his channel and show him the support he deserves as well. In the meantime, let's get back here to the War game with the Leopard 1. I've got Mio right behind me in his 46 Patton, and Centurion Gaming regrouped with us for a minute there. So I push forward down this center street here, seeing that nobody is going to be on our side. I figure it's fairly safe to just keep pushing down this 1 line here. Centurion Gaming dives behind cover there, and that's when I get spotted by this enemy Panther 2. So me and Mio break off to deal with these guys on our side. E4 looking at us. I bounce a shot on his upper hull, and he smokes me for almost half my HP really early in the game. So I aim a shot, try to put it in his weak point at the very top of the turret. Doesn't go so well, so I decided I'm just going to back off. I can't engage him. He's got the upper hand on me right now by a long shot. So I decide I'm going to help out my friendly heavy right behind me here. Seeing the Tiger 2 had just shot, he's reloading. I turn my tank around so I can get the front facing forward. This guy's pulling out broadside for whatever reason, so I put a really easy shot into the side of his Tiger 2. And after he just fired, I back up and I just simply aim in right where I'm expecting him to pull out, keeping an eye on the map and what's going on around us. Trying to put a shot a little bit lower in his drive wheel, but didn't go so well, so I wind up just hitting him in the upper hull, damaging him again with a nice shot into his drive wheel, taking out his tracks, damaging his engine, just making him have a bad day all around, and dropping him to 1 shot. Pulling out once more, trying to line up another shot on this Tiger 2. He pulls forward once more, allowing me to take him out of the game. So that opens up this entire street for me and this heavy to pull forward and support both Mio and Centurion Gaming on the complete south end of the map. So the game is only 3 minutes in, and we've already taken out half their team. Player TD and Casual Pie have just been wrecking them in the very middle there with their top-tier tank destroyers, the Object 268 and the Foch 155. So at this point, the game's pretty much over with. We're just closing in to pick up the scraps of damage that are left over. Pulling forward, I spot artillery backing up, giving me an easy shot into his side. I want him taken out. I high roll him, but he survives with a few hit points left over, damaging him for 437. So I ping him, letting everybody know, hey, he's really weak, let's take him out of the game. Pulling forwards, I see Centurion Gaming pretty much face-hugged an enemy TD, but turns out that enemy E4 wasn't even looking at him. So I figured he's okay, so I decided to just keep on rolling, bouncing over these train tracks. I want to knock out this artillery, so I just pull forward, quickly fire a shot off without really aiming because I want him gone. Now I see the Meagle in a Waffenträger off Panzer IV. He misses his shot, and I don't miss mine, taking him out of the game. And now it's just clean up. There's only 6 of us left, and there's 4 of them left, but we have them completely surrounded with 2 Leopard 1s, a 46 Patton, and 2 Tier 10 TDs. So starting off, I'm putting shots into this VK-45 Alpha. He is quite exposed right now, and it would be very easy for him to put shots onto me since he's a lot taller than that Foch looking over that ridge there. So I put one more shot into him. He turns my way looking directly at me, so I decide I'm going to back up so that I can use my forward speed to dive back into cover quickly, but he was waiting for me, putting a shot into my side and damaging me. But I respond in kind with 2 more shots, taking him out of the game. Now this Yagaru, I pull out, try to get his attention, but Casual Pie is able to finish him off. Really good game by myself, really good game by the rest of our platoon as well. Absolutely wonderful game. Completely crushed the other team. 2,404 XP with ops, as well as just under 40,000 silver. Our platoon earning a crucial contribution with 12 enemy tanks knocked out, myself getting a sniper medal, 3,505 damage, 4 tanks knocked out, Centurion Gaming 3,139 damage, 3 tanks knocked out, 1,603 assisted damage, both player TD and Casual Pie almost 4,000 damage, and Mio himself just under 2,000 damage. Awesome game by our platoon. Really, really good game by all of us, and I'm really glad that me and Centurion both recorded that one. So, guys, it was a long video. And I hope you stuck through it, hope you enjoyed it, and I do hope that this video showed you how you can have a wonderful game in the Leopard 1, as well as how to avoid having a pretty crappy game. So, remember guys, Leopard 1, great tank to have in the garage. It is a beast. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time for another edition of Tank Talk. This is Mobius Y signing off. Have a wonderful night.